Hello students, in last class we discussed about positive economics and normative economics. So positive economics, it is the study of what was and what is under the given set of circumstances, as a normative economics, study of what should be done, what should not be done, that is what ought to be, what is good and what is bad for human beings. So in previous class we discussed positive economics concerned with the how the economy performs the basic functions of what to produce, how to produce, for whom to produce. Actually the basic functions, that is production, consumption, distribution, exchange. So here the basic functions, how they are performing, how they are performing means using limited resources, how the country producing goods and services, like what to produce, how to produce, for whom to produce. Like in normative economics also we discussed how the economy should be performed. The positive economics concerned with the how the economy performs, but normative economics how the economy should be performed, how the economy should be performed. So in the economy the main important thing is we should how to face the problems, like what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. Very important. Yesterday class also I explained. So in the economy very important problems are what to produce, how to produce, for whom to produce. Okay, today we are going to discuss about these problems. So these are also called as basic economic problems, also called as central problems of an economy. Central problems of an economy, also basic problems of an economy. So like in economics very important problems are what to produce, how to produce, for whom to produce. So why the problems are arising, because actually wants are unlimited, human wants are unlimited, but to fulfill these wants resources are very less. So that's why human wants are unlimited, resources are limited. Human wants are unlimited, resources are limited. So suppose if human wants are limited, resources are unlimited, in this situation not necessary to study about economics. But unfortunately human wants are unlimited, resources are limited. So this is called as scarcity of resources. Scarcity means less resources, lack of resources, shortage of resources. So every society has to face scarcity of resources. Scarcity means lack of, shortage, or less of resources. So resources means those which are helpful to the production of goods and services, for example land, labor, capital, so everything. So scarcity of resources is very important. So resources are helpful to the production of goods and services. So very important problem in our economy, that is scarcity of resources. So the scarcity of resources arise to the problem of choice. The scarcity of resources, because of scarcity of resources, problem of choice will be arise. Why? Because human wants are recurring in nature. Recurring means it will arise again and again. If we fulfill one want, it will be arise another want. So that's why not possible to fulfill all human wants using limited resources. It's highly impossible to provide or produce all type of goods and services, because in our country facing the problem of scarcity of resources. So the scarcity of resources arise to the problem of choice. So the scarce resources of an economy have competing usages. Why? Because resources are less, wants are more. So that's why it's a highly impossible to fulfill all the type of goods and services, and not possible to provide all goods and services. In this situation the usages are competitive. That means the problem of choice is very important. Problem of choice is called economic problem. Problem of choice, it's called as economic problem. So how to face the problem? For this sake only, for the because of scarcity of resources only, the problems are arise. Which type of problems? Central problems, basic economic problems. So every society has to decide on how to use its scarce resources. That is the biggest question, a biggest challenge for all countries. Like every society has to decide on how to use its scarce resources. It's a biggest challenge to economy. So every society has to decide how to use its scarce resources. So problem of choice making. Why the problem of choice making? So problem of choice making means it is called as economic problem of choice making. So why? Because resources are less, that's why only the choice problem of choice makings arise. Because of less resources, problem of choice will arise. So let us discuss what are the economic problems, what are the basic economic problems. So what are the central problems of an economy? Why the problems arise? Because of scarcity of resources. Why we are telling like this? Because wants are unlimited. Say human wants are unlimited, resources are limited. Because of this only we should discuss or we should study about economics, because economics can give the solutions to these problems. Through study of economics only we can get solutions for these problems. Which problems? That is economic problems. First one is what is produced and in what quantities. First problem is what is produced and in what quantities. Second problem is how are these goods produced. And third one is for whom are these goods produced. First one is what is produced and in what quantities. Second one is how are these goods produced, and third one is for whom are these goods produced. So what to produce, how to produce, for whom these goods produced. What to produce, how to produce, for whom these goods produced. Okay, let us discuss one by one. First one is what is produced and in what quantity. First one is what is produced in what quantity. Okay, already I said every society must decide on how much of each of the many possible goods and services. It will be produced. Not possible to fulfill all human wants, not possible to produce all goods and services, because human wants are recurring in nature. So to fulfill that, compared to the wants, resources are very less. So in this situation every society must face the scarcity of resources. So in this situation what to produce? The biggest question is, biggest problem is what to produce. The question what to produce, compulsory we know that we should produce goods and services, but which type of goods and services we should produce, whether necessary goods or luxury goods. Necessary goods for weaker section, luxury goods for rich people. So which one you have to produce? Because in our country we can see both type of section. One is poor section, other one is rich section. See whether to produce more of food, clothing, housing, its basic needs or essential goods, whether we should produce luxury goods. Because in our country we can observe both, which one, like poor people and also rich people. So the biggest problem is whether to produce more of food, clothing, housing, or how to produce more of luxury goods like car, jewelries, bungalows. So these are called as luxury goods. Like necessary goods, food, clothing, housing, like necessary goods are essential goods. So which one you have to produce? If you produce or if you give more importance to this one, what about the luxury goods? If you produce more luxury goods, what about the necessary goods? Very important. So it is not possible to produce both because resources are less. So in this situation the economy will helpful to the technique, which one we have to produce, like what to produce. Like for this problem, economics will give the solution, depends upon the situation. So whether to produce more of food, clothing, housing, or how to produce more luxury goods, this is a biggest problem. As whether to have produce like more agricultural goods, whether to have more agricultural goods or to have industrial products. Because in the economy we are developing through three sectors. One is primary sector, second one is secondary sector, third one is tertiary sector. So first one is agriculture, second one is industrial, third one is service, right? So for which one you have to give importance, whether agriculture sector like other industrial sector. So agriculture sector increases the our helpful to the poor people, increase the food, and industrial goods increases the exports, it increases the technology. So what we have to produce, whether agricultural goods or industrial goods, not possible to produce both. So intelligently we can say like that both, but it is not possible to produce both. So that's why very important question is what is produced and what quantities, whether more or less. As whether to use more resources in education and health, because social indicators, education and health, very important social indicators to lead life or to live in the country. We need both. Which one? Education and health. So education and health. So whether to use more resources for the education and health, or use more resources building military services. Military services, like it's a matter of defense. Defense means securing our country. Securing our country, we need more military services. So which is better, whether education and health, otherwise building of military services. So military service is also very essential, because to secure ourselves or to secure our country. Even education and health also very important to lead our life, to live, to increase our socially level, intellectual, mentality, everything, to increase that we need both education and health. So which is better, education and health or military services? This is the biggest question, because not possible to produce both, but we need both also. Which one? Education and health, and also military services. So as whether to have more of basic education or more of higher education. So to consider as educated, we need first basic education. Is it enough? No, we need more, a higher education also. So which is possible to provide? Basic education is very important, and also to increase the literacy level, increase the literacy rate, and to become a good person, to become a good knowledgeable person, we need higher education. To become educated, we need more a higher education. So which is better? Not possible to provide a complete more higher education, not possible to provide only basic education. So basic education also important, higher education also important. So which one you have to provide? So that is also biggest question. Then whether to have more of consumption goods, whether investment goods. Consumption goods means which one we are using our daily life, so which is providing satisfaction. And investment goods, that is machineries, which will boost production and consumption for future. So using machineries only, we should produce goods and services. That's why which one, whether consumption goods or investment goods. So this is the biggest question in the economy. So they are called central problems of an economy. So what is produced and in what quantities? Once again repeat, every society must decide on how much of each of the many possible goods and services it will be produced. That means human wants are unlimited, resources are limited. Human wants are unlimited, resources are limited. In this situation, it's highly impossible to produce all types of goods and services, because scarcity of resources. The scarcity of resources arise the problem of choice. The only thing is choice. Why we are using this word choice? Because resources are less. If the resources are more and wants are less or limited, in this situation there is not necessary to study about economics. But what happened here? Human wants are unlimited, resources are limited. So in this situation we should select, we should choose, we should take choice. Which one is best, which one is necessary, which one is good, depends upon the situation. So in this situation there will be arise three important problems. One is what to produce, second one is how to produce, third one is for whom to produce. So how to fulfill this one, how to complete this, how to face the problems, how to solve the problems, that is one and only through the study of economics. Through the study of economics only we can get the solution. So here, so first one is what is produced and in what quantities. See, whether to produce more of food, clothing, housing, because these goods are necessary goods, otherwise essential goods, very important to lead life, to live. But for rich people they need luxury goods also. So which one we have to produce more, which one we have to produce less, and for which we have to give more importance, that is only what is produced in what quantities, whether produce more or whether produce less. See, more of food, clothing, housing, or luxury goods, as more agricultural goods or industrial goods, as the resources are utilized for education and health or building military services, so whether to have more of a basic education or more of higher education, as consumption goods and investment goods, which is that is only what is produced in what quantities. It is also one of the important basic economic problem. Basic economic problem. Okay, the first one was what to produce. The second one is how are these goods produced. How are these goods produced? How are these goods produced means how to produce. This problem is related to the technique, method of technology. Method of technology, which type of technique we should use. See, every society has to decide how much of which of the resources used in the production of each of the different goods and services. See, every society has to decide how much of which of the resources used in the production of each of the different goods and services. So every society has to decide how much goods and services produce utilizing the resources, and which method we should adopt, because in the economy there are two techniques. See, one is labor intensive, other one is capital intensive. So whether we should use more labor or whether we should use more machineries to produce goods and services, we can adopt two types of techniques. One is labor intensive technique, another one is capital intensive. Capital means machineries. Which of the available technologies to adopt in the production of each of goods? So which one is best? Suppose, see, the problem of how to produce is relating to choice of technology. How we can produce, that is only using two types of techniques. One is labor intensive, another one is capital intensive. So labor intensive technique means more labor is used in the production than capital. Labor intensive technique means more labor is used in production than capital. Capital intensive technique means more capital is used in production than labor. Like instead of using capital we can use labor, or instead of using labor we can use capital. We can adopt any one technique. Suppose if you utilize or if you adopt labor intensive technique, it will increases the employment opportunities. Definitely, there is no doubt, definitely it will increase the employment opportunities. Which one? Labor intensive increases the employment opportunities. Then what about capital intensive? If you utilize the capital intensive, it increases the efficiency of economy. Efficiency means like increases the capacity, like it increases the exports, it increases the technology. We can utilize modern technology, new method of technology. So both are very important, because labor intensive encourages the employment opportunities. In India, you know that very well, still we are facing unemployment situation. So that's why labor intensive is very important. But to develop the country, we need capital intensive. We should use modern technology, modern machineries to export more, to identify in the world. We need more capital, like modern technology, modern machineries, modern plannings. But if you adopt capital intensive, definitely it will decrease the employment opportunity, because the present machineries, that is equals to 100 labors. The one machinery equals to 100 members or 100 labors in this situation. So if we adopt capital intensive technique, that time so many people will lose their employment, like jobs. So if you utilize labor intensive, it's very tough to develop soon, because we should use more technology. But when we are using labor intensive, that time no importance to machineries much, like, so that's why it's very important. How are these goods produced? How are these goods produced means how to produce, which type of method we should use to produce goods and services. So this problem is related to the choice of technology. This problem is related to the choice of technology, which type of technology we should adopt to produce goods and services. Because to produce goods and services, there are two types of techniques, two types of technology. One is labor intensive technique, another one is capital intensive technique. We can use labor, otherwise we can use capital. Labor intensive technique means more labor is used in production, more labor is used in production than capital. Even capital intensive technique means more capital is used in production than labor. So if you adopt the labor intensive, there is no doubt, definitely it will increase the employment opportunities. When the people will get employment opportunities, it will increase the income level, it will increase the income level of the people. So when the income is increased, the per capita income also increase. When the per capita income increase, national income also increase. When the national income increase, country will develop. And capital intensive technique also very important. If you adopt the capital intensive, there is no doubt, definitely it will increases the efficiency. Efficiency means like increases the technology. We can use modern technology, new machineries, and we can save the timings. We can identify in the world, so we can produce more goods and services, and we can increase the exports. So definitely it will increase the efficiency of the country. So when it will increase the efficiency, that time we can easily identify in the world, and also it can increases the welfare of the people, as like as wealth of the country, it increases the wealth of the country. So both are very important. So labor intensive is very important, because labor intensive means more labor is used in production, than capital. Capital intensive means more capital is used in production than the labor. So the biggest question is, how are these goods produced? Which type of method, which type of technique we should use to produce goods and services? So this problem is related to the choice of technology. So this is so how the economy will solve this problem? So that is, we can solve the problem, or we can get the solution through the study of economics. By the study of economics, so it is depends upon the availability of resources, depends upon the situation. If the availability more labor, that time they can utilize labor only. In the situation, if the availability more capital, so they can utilize more capital. So it is depends upon the availability of resources. So second important question is, problem is, how are these goods produced? Otherwise, how to produce? Once again I repeat. So the question why it arises, because to produce goods and services, there are two techniques. It's related to the choice of technology. This problem is related to the choice of technology, which type of technology we should use to produce goods and services. So there are two type of techniques. One is labor intensive technique, another one is capital intensive technique. Labor intensive technique means more labor is used in production, than capital. So if you use the more labor intensive technique, definitely it will be increases the employment opportunities. So capital intensive technique means more capital is used in production than labor. More capital is used in production than capital, that is called capital intensive. So it's a very important, which one is better to produce goods and services. So labor intensive increases the employment opportunity, and capital intensive increases the efficiency. So this is depends upon the resources and requirements. So both are depends upon the resources and requirements. So how are these goods produced? How to produce? Okay. Next, third one is the third problem is for whom are these goods produced? For whom? That means to whom these goods are produced. For whom? First one is what to produce, second one is how to produce, and third one is whom are these goods produced. For whom are these goods produced? Okay. Who gets how much of the goods that are produced in the economy? Who gets how much of the goods that are produced in the economy? Who gets? People only, right? Who gets? People. But in the people, we can see two types of sections. One is rich, another one is poor. So, how should the produce of the economy be distributed among the individuals in the economy? That is, this problem is related to the distribution. The third problem, for whom are these goods produced? This problem is related to the distribution. How we can distribute the goods and services for all? Whether all the people are gets like goods. So how should the produce of the economy be like distributed among the individuals in the economy? See who gets more and who gets less. So as you know that those who are not considered as a poor people, they only getting more opportunities, they only getting more goods and services. You know that very well. See nowadays in the like COVID-19, the present situation. So this time the government and few people and non-government organizations, so many people are providing food kits to like helpful to the which one poor people. Nowadays there is no poor and rich. All people are receiving. All people are receiving. So here it's a very biggest question is how to distribute, how we can identify. The main aim is the poor people should get even the basic facilities government what they are providing, the basic facilities should be get by to the poor people only. Even government providing all types of basic facilities. So whether or not to ensure a minimum amount of consumption for everyone in the economy. So each and everyone, at least a person, compulsory, all the people are getting all the facilities. So at least a minimum amount of consumption for everyone in the economy. Whether we have to check like whether or not to ensure a minimum amount of consumption, at least a person consuming properly, at least like a minimum of one time food. So that is very important. Whether or not elementary education and basic health services. Elementary education and basic health services. Elementary education, that means each and everyone should get literacy. Like each and everyone should get the education. That is elementary. There is no differentiation between male and female. So that's why only especially in government providing introduced a free and compulsory education from 0 to 14 years. 0 to 14 years. So free and compulsory education. What purpose? To increase the literacy rate. To increase the literacy rate. So whether or not elementary education and basic health services should be available freely for everyone in the economy, we have to check. So that is how to distribute to everyone. We should provide free and compulsory education. So the very important problem is whom are these goods produced? For whom? For whom means whether poor people or rich people. So that's why government distributing the goods and services through PDS. PDS means public distribution system. Otherwise what we can say like what we are calling ration, right? So PDS. So like a ration system, like you people are called like which one? Fair price shops. Fair price shops. Okay, so the government for the sake of poor people providing goods and services through fair price shops, otherwise public distribution system, PDS, otherwise fair price shops. So the government of India providing goods and services especially for poor people through PDS or fair price shops. So the common basic things like rice, oil, salt, like oil, these things are providing government. What purpose? for the sake of poor people, at least ensure a minimum amount of consumption. Ensure a minimum amount of consumption for everyone in the economy. For this sake only, government distributing the goods and services which are basic needs, though which are necessary goods. So providing food, things to increase their welfare. Government providing facilities through PDS, fair price shops, public distribution system. So these are our very important problems in the economy. First one is what to produce, second one is how to produce, third one is whom to produce. So thus every economy faces to problem of allocating the scarce resources. Allocating means distribute. How we can allocate the resources, and we should distribute properly. How we can allocate? Because how, the question is how. Why? Because resources are very less. Resources are very less. The scarce resources, that is the every economy faces to problem of allocating the scarce resources to the production of different possible goods and services, and distributing the produced goods and services among the individual within the economy. So clearly, just listen clearly. In the economy there are three important problems, they are also called as basic economic problems, or central problems of economy. So first one is what to produce, second one is how to produce, third one is whom to produce. So very important. So what to produce means whether produce agricultural goods or industrial goods, whether produced food, clothing, housing, or luxury goods, whether produced resources utilized for education and health, or whether utilizing for building military services, or whether to have more of basic education or more of higher education, whether to have more of consumption goods or investment goods. So this is very important in the problem of what to produce. As how to produce. How to produce means which type of technology we should use, which type of technology we should adopt to produce goods and services. Because in that technology there are two types. One is labor intensive technique, another one is capital intensive technique. So labor intensive technique means more labor used in the production than the capital. As capital intensive technique means more capital used in the production than the labor. Both are very important techniques, because labor intensive technique increases the employment opportunities, and capital intensive increases the efficiency of the economy. So this in both, which one is best? So that is depends upon the requirement. Otherwise availability of the resources. So it's depends upon the resources and requirement. And third one is for whom are these goods provided. So this problem is related to distribution. So how should the produce of the economy be distributed among the individuals? So who gets more and who gets less? That's why the government providing food essential goods through the fair price shops for poor people. Whether or not to ensure a minimum amount, to check this, to provide everyone should get minimum consumption. That's why the government providing things through PDS, public distribution system, or fair price shops. So okay, up to this basic economic problems, central problems of an economy, very important for 4 marks. So explain the basic economic problems, otherwise central problems of economy. So thank you.